Good morning and welcome to another edition of the Australia Today. And today we are going to talk about something totally different, success, but not just anywhere in the academic world. And I'm Amit Sarwal, the founding editor of the Australia Today. And with me, we have eminent, very well known, and very friendly Dr. Sanjay Kumar Shukla, who's an academic based in Perth, Western Australia, and is also the founding editor in chief of the International Journal of Geosynthetics and Ground Engineering. He has over 25 years of experience in the academic world, has published high quality academic articles, research papers, books, book chapters, and textbook that students cite and reference all over the world. Uh, Not just this, Dr. Shukla has also collaborated and is collaborating with high level academics, world class universities and research institutions, and also industry sector in various projects. Dr. Shukla, welcome to the Australia Today.
Thank you, Dr. Sarwal, for inviting me for this talk.
Now, one of the things, Dr. Shukla, that mostly early career academics and even established academics who want to progress and find success in the field of academia, uh, they feel that there is no kind of a written toolkit or template for success in academia. One thing works, say, for Dr. Shukla, it won't work for Dr. Sarwal, right? But
Yes.
you have kind of summarized seven key mantras. Now, my first question obviously is what motivated you to actually sum up with these seven mantras?
Yeah. The day I started my own research and later through supervision and helping young researchers particularly, I can notice that many researchers face difficulties or delays in getting their research articles accepted for publication in research journals.
Hmm.
So what happens if there is any delay or rejection in publication of research articles? There are certain problems, including I have seen personally mental health related issues. So this
Hmm.
kind of situation is natural when the researchers lack proper understanding of research problem, research process, and expected research outcomes with significant originality and novelty as required in formal publications.
Yeah.
So, what I have been thinking, how I can help those researchers who lack the basic skills, and
Hmm.
we can see that there are many such researchers. Because
Hmm.
as a reviewer, when I go through the submissions,
Hmm.
I can easily see that the weakness in the submission of the papers is because of some kind of lag. So in 2019, based on research review and editorial experiences, I
Hmm.
designed seven research mantra in the form of tips so that the young researchers and others who want to do better
Hmm.
and achieve really an excellence, they can easily follow. In many universities, we have formal research methodology course. And
Hmm.
surprisingly, we can notice that what is happening at the end of that course, if researcher is continuing, still many basic skills are missing in their knowledge. So these are the reasons I have planned, and really based on my own success, looking success of others, these seven research mantras can easily help everyone, not in civil engineering, which is my expertise, in
Hmm.
any subject area. So, so this is the main uh, uh, focus behind designing these seven research mantras.
Now, let's talk about the seven mantras and we'll go step by step with each mantra and how do you define it and what can be, how it can be used by not just people in engineering and civil engineering, that is your field, but also say arts and humanities. Can it be cut down to fit their goals. So the first mantra that you gave is define a new problem for its possible solution, or work on a known problem for its new or improved solution. So what's the logic behind it, and how we can use it for success?
Yeah. Uh, Research mantra, as you mentioned, that define a new problem for its possible solution, or work on a known problem for its new or improved solution.
Hmm.
As a researcher, we should note that the research is all about new concept,
Hmm.
theory, design, and or applications in the field of research. It is not about creating just data. And
Hmm.
we can see most researchers can easily create data in any subject area, whether it is psychology or whether it is medicine, engineering, management. Data everyone can have,
Hmm.
but how you are going to really take the outcome from those data, it is
Hmm.
important. So as a conventional practice, most researchers first do the literature review. They are
Hmm.
going to library, but
Hmm.
really if we see, are there problems in library?
Hmm.
You can easily answer that we have to see the problems around us.
Hmm.
So most researchers follow the easy path, and what is the outcome? They are not able to really work on truly new problem or a known problem for its required solution. So in the
Hmm.
21st century and beyond, it is important to consider the needs of our communities and industries at the stage of defining sustained and purposeful research problems.
Hmm.
The research goals objectives must be clearly defined.
Hmm.
Otherwise, energy and effort may dissipate in other directions
Hmm.
without much measurable and tangible outcomes as expected initially. And this is what we observe when we are reviewing the paper
Hmm.
submitted to my own journal, other journals. So the research goals objectives must be clearly mentioned, and attempts should be made to work on cost-effective, environment-friendly, and nature-based solution for a sustainable future without heavily depending on manufactured materials,
Hmm.
which cause significant carbon emission. Such research outcomes may help the current designs and construction manufacturing practices with better regulations and standards. So,
Hmm.
in research, the first step is how we are going to define a problem. If problem is really not new or known problem where
Hmm.
we lack solution, there is no meaning in putting time, let us say for 3 years, 4 years in PhD program. So this is the key element in the
Hmm.
research process.
Now, the second mantra is do your experimental and or mathematical works with great accuracy and precision. So, which is basically mostly about research work and the collection of data.
Yes, because you see, a first step, if someone is successful, and that a check, there should be a check that my research problem is really new, or if known problem, I am working for a new or improved solution.
Hmm.
But how we are going to carry out my
Hmm.
research? So in the experimental works, it is important to measure the physical parameters. Let us say
Hmm.
length,
Hmm.
temperature,
Hmm.
mass,
Hmm.
any other parameters. We need to measure with great accuracy and precision as far as possible.
Hmm.
The researchers must check the accuracy, calibration of instruments and
Hmm.
equipment as used in their measurements by themselves before they are used. My experience, let me share with you. In
Hmm.
many labs, I have seen students are going, researchers are going, and the technical staff is saying, okay, this balance is okay, that let us say thermometer works well, or oven temperature is fixed at the standard temperature.
Hmm.
So that assumption is not good. As a researcher, one should check himself herself,
Hmm.
because if any kind of error is going to be there, your whole research data will have no value. So
Hmm.
this is the one of the major weaknesses, as I have experienced with research students. They are not checking properly.
mm,
Calibration these days, you know that in scientific research we are using sensors.
mm,
Many of us as a researcher lack in the
mm,
lack how to check accuracy of sensors, and they have measured, they are presenting, but it is all about proper calibration. So this is important, and it is important to note that accuracy is a measure of reliability. It
mm,
refers to the degree of perfection obtained in the measurement. In other words, how close the measurement is to the true value.
mm,
Precision is not exactly same as accuracy.
mm,
Precision refers to degree of perfection used
mm,
in instruments, methods, and observations as researchers are doing. In other words, to the level of refinement and care for the measurement. In a series of measurements of the same quantity, the closer each measurement is going to be the, let us say, mean value. As statistically we research in any area, we calculate mean value, the better is the precision.
mm,
High precision is costly, but it is
mm,
generally necessary for high accuracy. High
mm.
precision is not always a guarantee of high accuracy if blunders and errors have not first been eliminated from the work. So, in short, I can say that whatever your work is there, you might be doing only experimental work or mathematical work or including both, there should be a proper accuracy and precision. Otherwise, reviewers, examiners can
Mm.
find something which will give you a great pain after doing your work for a long period.
Now, the third mantra that you gave is prepare the list of assumptions and or limitations of your completed research work as applicable with a suitable discussion in the article. So this is kind of relevant for non science or non kind of mathematical background people like me as well. This is a very good mantra that we can actually follow as soon as we complete our research work. So what's the logic behind this one, and how can it impact the productivity?
We have to note that the solution to any real life problems is rarely unique.
Hmm.
And this is the reason why many research publications are coming on the same problem, almost same topic you can see. The reason is that there is no unique answer.
Hmm.
Okay, so individual researchers working on the same topic are giving slightly different answers, and it means what is happening that as a researcher, when we do our own work, we have to really list the limitations. What are the limitations in my work? I might have some limitation during measurement or in derivation of a mathematical, let us say, expression or equation, because if you try to if as a researcher we try to consider all parameters, we can't
Hmm.
develop a simplified mathematical formula for use by practicing engineers or other users. So it is very important to understand whatever we do, uh, we have to list our weaknesses, limitations, assumptions. And many researchers, I think, we can experience, they avoid writing these in
Hmm.
their paper. They think that no, I should not include, otherwise
Hmm.
reviewer can be unhappy. No, reviewers are going to be very, very happy if they will know the assumptions or limitations of your work. So we should not intentionally avoid, we must mention, because at the end of the day, users are going to use your work. If they
Hmm.
are unaware of some weaknesses, limitations, they will be in problem. So this is the reason why I say that while doing your mathematical works, experimental works, try to identify
Hmm.
what are your limitations and assumptions and clearly mention in your article.
Yeah, this is kind of a very important one as well, because even in non-mathematical or engineering fields, when I review papers, say in education, journalism, or literature, people do not mention the limitations, and or even if I forget to mention, then the reviewer thinks that this could have been done. If I actually point out that I cannot do this because of these issues, then the reviewers know it is not possible, or this person is not capable of it because of these limitations. And it's quite kind of very interesting that others can use it. Now, the fourth one is kind of really, very, very interesting one, because try to explain the mechanisms of your research observations and findings as much possible, and attempt to develop scientific theory, equation expression, design chart, table for field application. Now, most of the academics, this is the general perception of academic world outside academia, that we publish a lot of waste. There was a research by RMIT researchers, I think in 2016 or 17, around that time, where they said, n number of articles are published, and out of that n number of articles, only a handful are useful because they are providing or developing scientific theories. They are actually helping innovation. Rest are just commentaries on previous works. So how would you? What's the importance of developing new theories, expressions, and equations rather than giving commentaries in your field and other fields as well?
Yes, you rightly mentioned that as a researcher, you can find that when we go through the literature review on any topic, most papers, there are some new things. But exactly, we can say that if someone is not going to use today or in future, as we can feel,
Mm,
means they are in the form of digital waste.
mm,
And there are other problems, like when researchers are working almost on the same topic with minor variations, is a problem of plagiarism, right?
mm,
And unnecessarily large number of problems on the same topic. So what I
mm,
am going to say through this mantra, that while doing research, normally what happens, we observe the macro behavior, in any
mm,
field, whether human behavior or material behavior
mm,
or any phenomenon. So we just observe the macro behavior, large scale behavior, because that is our really expectation. Suppose a building during earthquake, let us say current earthquake, there is a damage to buildings, structures. Now,
mm,
that is the macro level we are looking. But if we try to analyze at the micro level, nano level, depending on the fields, right? So we
mm,
need to understand that what are the mechanism, what are the causes, real reasons for that gross behavior observation. So observation of gross behavior should be connected to the micro level, nano level, and in that process, what will happen? Someone can come forward with a new theory, because research is all about new concept, new theory. As we see our great researchers of past, right? They observe the physical phenomenon, right? And
mm,
phenomena, and they have some kind of equations. So it is very important to identify the mechanisms, causes, reasons for the observations and findings as we are trying to report. And we try to present either equation, expression, design chart, design table, because most papers, if we go through, we can find that by reading, I can't be able to use it
mm,
as a common user. This is the biggest problem, no, in our research.
mm,
Very limited papers can be used, and they can go in
mm,
textbook also. So I would
mm,
like to let you know that I have done a lot of research. Out of that, some of the research work, particularly suppose mathematical derivation, has
mm,
been textbook material, and
mm,
that has been reported, particularly for calculating earth pressure.
mm,
So in
mm,
every area, we should try to present some kind of outcomes which can be directly used. Otherwise, common user cannot follow your all steps.
mm,
It is something like doing again the same research. So it is very important, and that's why this fourth mantra is going to help, even though work is going to be done with great accuracy, precision, assumption limitations are known, but
mm,
users are not getting. And for getting that final outcome in the form of equation design chartable as possible, it is important to understand the mechanism, whether micro level, nano level, as applicable to different fields.
yes. Uh, Now, the fifth mantra is compare your new improved research findings and solutions with currently available ones, if any, with a critical discussion. Now, this is when someone has established their research findings and solutions, and they are now looking for a critical discussion. As you said, people working in the similar area with uh, you know minor issues, basically the difference is negligible when it comes. Is this more about collaborating for the next step, or is it differentiating your research?
Yeah. Uh, Even though problem is completely new, we may have a simplified solutions, but
Hmm,
in real life, we have some form of solutions.
hmm,
So we should try to really compare our research findings solutions with the available ones. And particularly when we are working on the known problem already, some kind of solution, so it is not difficult to compare,
hmm,
and the comparison can be presented in the form of, let us say, graphs, graphical presentation, tables, or any kind of charts, as these options are available in a standard software, as we have. If possible, some numerical problems may be defined and then solved using newly proposed research procedure, along with presenting their solutions by methods being used currently as a comparison. We can see in many research papers, suppose they talked about a problem, but
hmm,
I may have a real life problem. So how to follow? So
hmm,
we can find that most papers are not providing any kind of illustrative example.
hmm,
So and it can be happen not in engineering and mathematics. It can be even real life also. So there should be an illustrative example, and then stepwise one should explain. And we can see that this is missing in most publication, because although not difficult, but they lack, researchers lack how to design their own illustrative problem and how to explain the way they have completed their research. So comparison is very important. And otherwise, reviewers can say that how do you say that your research findings are going to be realistic. So this is all about that comparison aspect.
Now, the sixth mantra is, I find it very interesting coming from literature and language background and teaching journalism, media, is that now this is more of a grammar and presentation based thing, that you also consider presentation of the article as important. And I'm very happy because the first five mantras are very technical. And even though I come from a language and literature background, I give prominence to ideas rather than language, because I feel, coming from India, and we use English to publish most of our work. I give prominence to a person's ideas than grammar, and I'm very happy that you have also put this at sixth rather than at top. Your language should be perfect. So describe your research work in the article using short and clear sentences in simple and plain English, and avoid any kind of errors, including grammatical and presentation errors. Were you also thinking in the same terms as I just mentioned, that presentation is important, but it should not be given prominence to more than the ideas or your logics?
You very correctly say that researchers may have really innovative outcomes very first time in the world.
Hmm,
But what happens that when researcher is submitting his or her article,
hmm,
uh, first the editor in chief is going to handle those papers.
hmm,
So what happens? First check is about presentation, right? Going through the title, abstract, uh, editor-in-chief is having a look.
hmm,
Or let us say graphical presentation, how x-axis title, y-axis title, units. So if there are several weaknesses
Hmm.
which are not expected from a researcher or any uh, uh, well-educated person, right? We
Hmm.
can say like that. So even though there is enough stuff technical, but there is a doubt about that. You know that in the mind of the reviewer, editor, there is a doubt that if researchers are not aware of, let me tell you, I can give you an example.
Hmm.
You know that the unit of pressure is
Hmm.
suppose Pascal, or we can say kilopascal, right? So
Hmm.
the typing K uppercase, I can see many people do uppercase,
Hmm.
capital letter K,
Yeah.
and Pascal, suppose
Hmm.
P will be in suppose for them lowercase. So
Hmm.
they are not aware of the right practice for
Hmm.
simple things. So
Hmm.
if researchers are not aware just for
Hmm.
writing the unit, how I can believe as an examiner reviewer that
Hmm.
you have measured in your lab correctly the numerical values?
Yeah.
So really presentation,
Hmm.
although it should not be given weightage for accepting or rejection in the first look, but
Hmm.
how to really get it.
Hmm.
So that's why I am saying that all, let us say, five steps have been followed. But if
Hmm.
presentation is weak, I can say that the journey of acceptance of the work is not going to be easy, right?
Hmm.
And that's why it is important proper mentorship under the supervision of an experienced researcher or by a well-planned self-learning approach.
Hmm.
So it is essentially required the researcher need to learn the best presentation practice as
Hmm.
professionally as expected, although they are very good in conducting the experiment by following all five mantras, they have mathematical expression, but I will have doubt if
Hmm.
some errors are there. I have seen even in published papers, I can tell you that
Yeah.
reviewer, as authors, they have missed something.
Hmm.
Reviewers couldn't check, and finally, editor in chief, that they also go through the decision and analysis. But finally, and even production team, you see, so
Hmm.
in good journals, I can see some kind of errors which are
Hmm.
not expected. Because what is the problem?
Hmm.
If new researchers are going to read those papers, they are
Hmm.
going to assume that, oh, everything is correct. No. So I
Hmm.
always say that if you read a research paper, even published in the best journal, have a doubt. As a researcher, we should doubt. Are you getting?
Yes.
So if we have a doubt, means we are on the path of really new knowledge. And
Yes.
we should not assume everything published is correct, but we should
Hmm.
not unnecessarily doubt, right? There
Yeah.
should be a logic behind that. So
Yeah.
presentation is also equally important,
Hmm.
as we say that technical content should be there.
Yeah. Now, before I move to the seventh question, I like to hang on a bit on the sixth mantra because it deals with language and particularly in terms of, I've seen it in many journals, particularly in my field. As soon as they see a South Asian name or Indian sounding name, some of the reviewers immediately put needs to be checked for language accuracy by a native speaker. Sometimes they don't even realize that you have a PhD from, say, UK, USA, Europe, or so this native and I've found native speakers, especially in Australia and even UK, use wrong expressions in their paper, and you mentioned that as well. Even in established journals by established scholars, they have wrong, they have grammatical errors and stuff like that. So somewhere this bias towards South Asian scholars, and our numbers are, you will agree, is obviously large because we give prominence to education, research, and other and publication as well. So does that happen in your field as well in engineering? Whenever someone submits their paper and it's rejected, sometimes through desk rejection based on grammar rather than idea?
Yes, it is happening in engineering journals as well. I can see, sometimes with my own paper, I have my own experience. As
Yeah.
you rightly said, that that your paper needs, that
Mm.
professional reader, because the paper is coming from a particular, whatever they will not directly
Yeah.
say. But I think, you see, in research field, in other fields, we need to learn one thing: we have to respect each other. That is very important, right? Someone is coming from country A, someone from B, right?
Yes.
And we have, cultural background difference. So if a paper is being rejected because of the just, grammatical kind of reasons, that doesn't look good. And let
Mm,
me tell you my own way of doing as editor in chief. I go through, I try to notice, let me tell you, technical weaknesses. I
mm,
rarely reject based on some grammatical kind of error, because I know
mm,
that they can improve. Because if I will not give an opportunity, how such researchers are going to learn?
mm,
So all the journals in the world, they should consider that everybody is not coming from the same background, right?
mm,
But if there are technical weaknesses, it is hard, because we are
mm,
getting also many submissions. So I can only say that yes, you have, technical weaknesses, and I clearly write. I will tell you one thing: even after proper review, the paper has been recommended for acceptance. My
mm,
time on individual paper goes too much. The reason
mm,
is that I am writing my own comment. The way I am explaining you that
mm,
your x-axis title, y-axis title labels are, not in a
mm,
consistent style. Because if I am not going to mention,
mm,
it is going to publish in a similar way, and how
mm,
our world is going to be, better, in a better environment, research
mm,
environment. So all of us, as a reviewer,
mm,
as an associate editor, as editor in chief, we have to respect each other. We have to be positive in thought process, not just looking the way you say that names, that papers are coming from, let us say, Asian countries, they will be
mm,
weak. No, we cannot make conclusion. But one thing is true. Let me tell you here: the papers coming from our places, the way, suppose you said
mm,
India or other countries, if
mm,
I say suppose 100 papers, I
mm,
can myself see that weaknesses are, in more papers compared to some
mm,
of the countries.
mm,
That is means some truth, but
mm,
should not reject just because of grammatical. But if
mm,
there are technical weaknesses, we have to just say that, oh, okay, it cannot go, and we have doubt also about your measurements, about your analysis.
mm,
And in most papers you can see they will be presenting data that one parameter increases, other parameter decreases. But
mm,
why that is happening? Is there any kind of similar
mm,
trend observed earlier? So discussion is very poor, let me tell you.
mm,
And when they are discussing, you can find grammatical errors as well, right?
mm,
So in short, I can say that we should avoid this kind of comments that,
mm,
that you have weak grammatical presentation. Certainly we have to say, but we cannot say that, okay, paper is rejected because of grammatical errors only.
mm,
That errors can be fixed, but
mm.
particularly the technical concepts must be strong. Otherwise, how one can recommend?
Yeah. Now, Dr. Shukla, the final and seventh mantra for success, research mantra for success in the academic world is at any stage of research process, there should not be any rush that can cause errors in your research outcomes and their publications. As a fellow academic, I appreciate this seventh mantra very much because I'm kind of fed up. I've been part of many universities in India, Australia Pacific, have been doing collaborative projects in my field. One of the things that I have noticed is, you mentioned something about digital waste and the number of articles being published, not that much quality. The number of journals have increased too. You have so many private players and other companies. At some point, you had universities publishing, the departments publishing the journals which were reputable. Now you have so many companies, private associations publishing journals, and there is a rush to publish. Uh, you publish two paper, two papers per year, you'll get a some kind of promotion or addition to your salary. You publish three, you will get a deputy headship. You publish four, you will become a dean. You publish six, you will become DVC, right? You will be the head of the research department, blah blah blah. That, personally, from coming from English literature, journalism, cultural studies, history kind of field, humanities, I feel not every academic is cut out to be a researcher. Most are very good teachers. It is wrong to assume that teachers should also publish and researchers should teach. There should be a very fine line between in the academic world, in the university. Otherwise, you will have the seventh mantra would be really important for everyone. You can't have errors, but the errors are caused by stress that universities are putting their academics into. Would you agree with that statement?
Yes, I agree. Whatever you said, that we as researchers are really in rush, not because of our planning, right?
Yeah.
There is a requirement. The requirements have been created by the system for
Mm.
promotion, as you clearly mentioned, right? From one level to another, and counting the papers,
Mm.
because and there is also ranking. Universities are
Yes.
going by ranking. By different organization. So what
Mm.
is happening there? We can notice that how many papers per faculty member, right?
Mm.
So the people are under stress and pressure, and that is happening. And
Mm.
because of this, certainly as an individual researcher, what will happen?
Mm.
Uh, that it is going to, that they will complete the work, and they will be writing the article, and quickly they will be publishing, and some measurement they can do manipulation also. This is also
Mm.
happening in some
Mm.
places, I can notice, and
Mm.
such papers are rejected quickly, right?
Mm.
I do. So here you see how we can solve this problem, that researchers should not be in rush.
Mm.
Universities need to share these mantras with undergraduate, postgraduate students, researcher, faculty member, to let them know how they need to solve any new problem, to create IPs, patents, rather than counting research paper. They can make it mandatory part of research journey, as
Mm.
I am thinking from my point of view. Governments of most countries may also come forward soon to ask their universities and institutions to follow these mantras within their system. You rightly say that teaching is very important in university system, but it is not being considered. All teachers are not supposed to publish. They can at least, you see, the best part is that if teachers are going to consume the research, that is also great contribution. So
Mm.
how to consume the research which is available, right? So
Mm.
that is very important. Who will do? Teachers can do. Many researchers, that they are not teaching, you might be knowing, right? So they only do research. So really, as a researcher, you must also go in your class. You should teach at least whatever is your expertise, that
Mm.
has to be there. So teaching and research cannot be separated, right? They are just like two faces of a coin, I can say
Mm.
that.
Dr. Shukla, you gave for the first time, you gave these mantras in 2019,
Yes.
and you have been presenting these mantras to fellow academics, early career researchers. What has been their reaction on these seven mantras?
Yeah, you see, almost every day I am getting some kind of comments from different corners of the world, that these mantras have been presented with very specific explanations.
Mm.
So, as a young researcher or even experienced researcher can quickly understand how the whole research process has to move on. But
Mm.
as I said, that universities need to take the lead, right? So
Mm.
policy makers need to take the lead.
Mm.
As individual researchers, they are finding these mantras very useful, very effective, right? Even some researchers have told me that they have done research methodology. So many things they studied, but here, just in about 3 pages, they can do the revision that about revision of whole process, research process. So in short, I can say that these mantras are going to create a healthy research environment. World researchers and innovators, if they really start following these mantras, there will be no rush, no stress. People will be also healthy because there are many mental illness problems.
Mm.
So these mantras are going to really create a healthy research environment worldwide.
Now, it's very important that you mentioned mental health of academics. Most of the universities, this it was for the first time that I noticed in Australia that you have a what's it called? Are you okay day at
Yes.
universities? You get an email from the HR or your boss, but do they really mean are you okay? Because the stress is still there in academics. During post COVID, I think I can confidently say a large number of teachers and university lecturers, particularly the casual staff, left academia. Some of them are working in call centers. I changed personally. I changed my field too, right? So I left, my job because it publishing wasn't, or research wasn't my complaint. My complaint was how universities were framing policies in terms of promotion and publication, while at certain times I would feel that I'm not contributing anything new uh, to my area, while in research methodology courses I was taught that I have to contribute new to my field and therefore to publish, right? uh, so is there anything I've noticed that you have published a lot and you're still very friendly. You're talking to early career researchers, you give advice to students. Most of the professors I have met in Australia and even UK and US say they shut themselves in their rooms. They do not talk with especially the early career researchers unless it's a collaboration and they're going to co-author a paper. How do you keep yourself mentally stable or fit?
Yeah, you see, from day one, I have my understanding, as I have seen during my research student days, that how faculty members are under stress, right? And they
Mm,
are writing the suppose grants for a month or two, and at
mm,
the end they are not getting success.
mm,
So another stress is going to be there. But the thing is that you see. In all universities of the world we can see similar kind of problems. That's why I
mm,
am saying that through these mantras we are going to create a stress free research environment, and these mantras must go in policy.
mm,
And we should not count just number of papers,
mm,
and teachers who are not publishing, but they are, let us say, consuming the research. They are reading the research paper and letting the students know. So that kind of culture should develop. Okay.
mm,
And the path is not easy, as you know that any change may take several years and decades. But through these mantras, my understanding is that if university managements, they are trying to inform their students, faculty members, other researchers, that how to do research, right? But they
mm.
need to make some changes in the policy to create a stress-free research environment in the world.
Dr. Shukla, with these thoughts, I would like to conclude our today's, episode. And I agree that at the end of the day, it is the responsibility of the universities and policymakers, as you pointed out, to take the lead in implementing these mantras, because researchers and academic staff are trained to publish. They are trained to teach. They are also nowadays trained to take care of the mental health and well-being of the students. So they have a lot in their plate, and if you keep adding on their plate, at the end of the day, the plate will fall, and the academics definitely will walk out of the universities. And without healthy academicians, and researchers and teachers, there is no university. So I do hope that our episode is widely viewed by early career researchers, undergrads, and postgraduate students to make their research and innovation journey successful and enjoyable. Thank you so much for sharing these thoughts and your precious time with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sarwal, for inviting me for this great talk, which is going to really create a healthy research environment as we expect. Thank you.